Hey everyone, my name is Tatiana and I'm the Sexual Violence Prevention Student Assistant at Health Promotion and Wellness.
Hi folks, my name is Matthew and I'm the Men's Health Student Assistant at Health Promotion and Wellness. And we're going to talk about consent, what it is, and why it's important to honor it.
With that said, since this topic touches on a sensitive subject of sexual violence, we want to be mindful with how this topic could bring up uncomfortable feelings and emotions for you.
If that happens, please pause the video at any time and return to it when you're ready. You may also seek confidential emotional support through the Safe Place, which is available to you for free and is open virtually during shelter in place.
The Safe Place can connect you to on and off campus resources and help you go through your options for reporting, healthcare, mental health, and other trauma-informed options. For the regular hours or to make an appointment, visit caps.sfsu.edu/content/safe-place or call 415-338-2208.
So let's begin and cover really quick the importance of consent. Consent essentially serves as a way to develop healthy relationships since it creates and respects boundaries. There is verbal communication of what is permitted and comfortable. Both parties are able to ask and then act appropriately to the other's response. Consent is one of the best ways of preventing harm from happening. Tati, can you give the audience a formal definition of consent?
Sure. Consent is permission that is sober, verbal, conscious, willingly given, enthusiastic, continuous, and revocable. It is absolutely mandatory. As Matt mentioned, consent is about respecting someone's personal, physical, and emotional boundaries. It's a freely given activity.
Can you explain a little more on why it's freely given?
Well, for consent to be freely given, that person needs to understand what they're agreeing to and that they can change their mind at any time.
So, in the context of sexual relationships, how can someone make their partner feel comfortable if they want to change their mind? I want to acknowledge that it can be hard for some folks to do this since it's during the heat of the moment and there can be a lot of pressure put on them.
Well, you have to be mindful of several things. Think about the environment you're in, about how you'll communicate, and your tone. You want to convey that everything will be okay if your sexual partner decides they no longer want to move forward with the activity. It's important to demonstrate that there will be no repercussions for saying no. And you can do this by ensuring your partner that you're okay with stopping at any time.
That's really important, Tati. I want to add that consent needs to be clear and enthusiastic. Pay attention to not only what your partner says, but also to their nonverbal expressions and body language. If you see any signs that they're hesitating or uncomfortable, stop and try to understand those boundaries.
Yes, respective boundaries is what consent is all about.
Let me pose a question, Tati. What if a person doesn't necessarily say no when you ask them to participate in a sexual activity?
So, the absence of a no or silence does not mean a yes. There might be moments that could be difficult for someone to say no, and it's important to acknowledge what a person agrees to initially can change. What they agreed to today, yesterday, or an hour ago, or even minutes ago, doesn't mean that they'll agree to the same thing tomorrow or in the future. Respect them when they change their mind and respect what they no longer want to do.
Oh, well, why would it be hard for somebody to say no?
There are many reasons on why someone would have a difficult time saying no. For one, there could be a fear of repercussions for not going through with the sexual encounter. That person might be really concerned for their personal safety. Another reason could be that that person you're interacting with may not speak the same language as you.
Very true. It is difficult saying no. Language barriers and fear are valid reasons why someone might not be able to say no. We also have to take into account the role of alcohol and drugs. Someone must be conscious and sober to make an informed decision about their body and or the kind of sexual activity they want to have. A person who is unconscious or incapacitated because the substances cannot give consent.
Great point, Matt. There is a theme with the ideas we've been addressing, and it has to deal with the power dynamic. If you're in a more powerful position than them in different ways, that relationship of power can weaken their ability to say no.
Right. I want to talk more about power and how that may play a role when asking for consent.
Okay, so in the context of consent, what is power?
Power is the ability to influence the actions and choices of others. We see power a lot when we look at different kinds of relationships.
What kinds of relationships?
Well, most folks usually have romantic relationships come to mind first, but there are different relationships too, like sexual relationships, friendships, professional relationships, and day to day social interactions.
We addressed healthy relationships earlier, but let's go a little more in depth about what it is. Healthy relationships respect people's physical and emotional boundaries and honor consent. And a huge part of for asking of consent is being mindful of the different ways we hold power. The power you bring in any relationship can be based off of one or a combination of different parts of your identity.
Yes, Tati, identities have so much impact. Just so people know, different parts of your identity are your race, class, gender, immigration status, your position of authority, your mental health, language, if you meet society's beauty standard, standard of beauty, age, physical strength, level of ability, level of sexual experience, your position in society, your level of privilege, your level of intoxication, and or being part of society's dominant or minority group, and many more.
That's so many different aspects, but it's essential to understand how they all play a role with power and consent. So, Matt, what's a good way to check yourself and your power when asking for consent?
When you ask for consent, ask yourself this question first. Would this person say yes if I didn't have power or authority over them? If there's a difference in power between you and your partner may feel less able to tell you their needs or to say no.
And consent is all about respecting personal, physical, and emotional boundaries.
Okay, thank you for listening. That's all from us. Thank you for everyone who listened to our conversation today. I hope you all were able to take something away from this talk.
Yes, thank you for listening, everyone. I hope you learned something about consent and have a better understanding of it. If you wanted to hear more, you could find a list of our upcoming workshops and events at wellness.sfsu.edu/events-workshops.
You can also hear more by signing up to our newsletter at hpw@sfsu.edu and following our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at SSA Cares.
Thank you and stay safe.
Bye, everyone. Take care.